I don't know how I survived. I don't know how I'm sitting here, talking, breathing, after what I saw inside that house. Sometimes I wake up screaming. Sometimes I still see the freezer, the girl inside it, the money coming out of her mouth, the door that wouldn't open, the wardrobe that shook when I hid inside it, the voice of the man who said they needed my heart for the ritual. And the worst part? I thought I was going to die, for money that wasn't even mine. It's easy to judge me. I know. You're probably already calling me names in your head. Slay queen, runs girl, money hungry, desperate. But if you'd lived my life, if you knew what it meant to be beautiful, broke, and tired of struggling, maybe you wouldn't be so quick to point fingers. I didn't plan to follow him. I didn't plan to walk into that house. I didn't plan to see death in the freezer. And I didn't plan to be here shaking, telling this story to people who don't even know my name. But maybe, just maybe, someone will watch this and say, let me be careful. Let me not end up like Sonia. You're watching African Tales by Imade. Please, don't stop watching until the end. Like, share, and subscribe. My name is Sonia. I'm 22, a university girl, part of a generation that wants everything fast, money, lifestyle, love, fame, all at once. I grew up with my elder sister, Amelia. No parents, just the two of us. We lost them in a crash 6 years ago. One moment they were laughing in the front seat, the next, silence, smoke, screams. I was 16 when it happened. Amelia was 21. That day, she became more than a sister. She became my mother, my father, my protector. She dropped out of school to hustle, sold puff-puff, tutored kids, plaited hair, anything, just to get me into the university. And she did. But somewhere along the way, we switched roles. She still looked out for me, cooking, working part-time jobs, managing her final year project. But I started looking out for something else, a better life. Let me be honest with you. I loved Amelia, but I didn't want her life. Wearing one wig for 2 semesters, eating noodles with no egg for a week, hustling under the sun just to afford hostel rent. I wanted perfume, iPhones, flights, lifestyle, and I had something most girls only dream of. I was beautiful. Not average cute, I mean beautiful. Slim waist, glowing skin, legs like art. When I walked into a place, heads turned, men noticed, girls stared. Even lecturers gave me soft smiles and unnecessary help. I knew what I had, and I decided to use it. First, it was small things. A man on IG who bought me airtime. Another one who sent 50,000 naira just to take care of your skin. Then it got bigger. One man paid my entire school fees. Another paid for my trip to Lagos, all expense paid. All I had to do was smile, laugh, show up. Sometimes give more. But I told myself, this is survival. I'm not a prostitute. I'm just smart. Amelia knew. She always knew. She tried to act like she didn't, but the signs were too clear. New wigs, new clothes, new accents, and no explanation. One evening, I came back with a new bag. Zara, black leather, gold zips. She looked up from her pot of beans and said, "Sonia, you know your soul is not for sale, right?" I laughed. "Don't start, Amelia. Life is for the living." She shook her head and stirred her beans. Another day, she found 100,000 naira cash in my drawer. I told her I won a giveaway. She just sat on the bed and looked at me with the saddest eyes I've ever seen. "I'd rather suffer with you," she whispered, "than bury you." We heard it on a Sunday morning. One of the girls on campus, Joy, a friend of a friend, went missing. Last seen entering a black SUV. Tall man, white shirt, dark sunglasses. Same type of man I was texting the night before. I didn't sleep well that night, but by Monday morning, I was texting someone else. Fear didn't last long for me. Hunger for lifestyle always won. I was in the hostel when the message came in. "Hey babe, I want to see you." Just to chill. My driver will pick you." I stared at the name. Mr. T double quote. We had spoken a few times. He said he was into real estate, always showed me screenshots of crypto money. He didn't ask for nudes, didn't beg for anything, just promised to take care of me. The location he sent was far, outskirts of town, but his profile picture showed Range Rovers and yachts. So I dressed up. Red fitted gown, gold anklet, minimal makeup, one tiny black purse, and my power bank. As I locked the door, Amelia called out softly, "Where are you going, Sonia?" I smiled. "Group assignment." She didn't respond, just sat on the bed, watching me walk away. The driver didn't talk. He played soft jazz the whole ride, and any time I looked up, I could see him adjusting the mirror to look at me. We drove for almost an hour, past estates, past a toll gate, into a quiet, highbrow neighborhood where the trees were tall and the roads had no potholes. When we pulled up in front of the house, my heart skipped. It wasn't a house. It was a mini palace, white pillars, 3 black cars, a gardener trimming flowers like it was a hotel. The moment I stepped out, I could smell wealth, the kind that doesn't announce itself loudly, but lets the air do the talking. Mr. T came out with a half smile. "You look finer in real life, Sonia." He was tall, clean, gray beard, soft voice, smelling like 10 million naira. He didn't waste time. There was no begging, no rough touches, no awkward moves. He simply offered me chilled fruit juice, sat me down on a white sofa, and played soft music while we talked. He asked about school, my dreams, my favorite color. "You remind me of someone I used to love," he said quietly. We didn't do anything that day. He just told me to relax, took me to a walk-in closet filled with designer items and said, "Pick what you want." I picked a Versace bag, perfume, 2 wigs. When I was leaving, he gave me an envelope. Inside, 750,000 naira cash, just like that. "For your upkeep," he said. When I got back to the hostel, Amelia was standing outside our room. She looked tired, holding a plastic bag with gari and groundnut. I greeted her with a smile. She didn't respond. I went inside, dropped the envelope on the table like I was throwing keys. She followed me in. "Sonia," she said. I ignored her. She sat beside me and touched my hand. "Did he hurt you?" "Who?" "Whoever you followed." I rolled my eyes. "I'm fine. Can't you see? I'm even glowing." She reached into her pocket and brought out 2,000 naira. "I made this from selling Zobo yesterday. I was going to surprise you with it." I looked at the brown envelope I had tossed on the table. Thick, neat, silent. I didn't say a word. She wiped her face, stood up slowly, and walked to her bed. I watched her back for a moment, but I didn't feel guilty. Not yet. 2 weeks later, something happened. A girl in my department, Sheila, went missing. Her roommate said she got picked up by a man in a G-Wagon. She wore her red bodycon dress and said, "Even if I die today, at least I'll die soft." She was never seen again. WhatsApp messages stopped delivering. Her family cried on the news. The school held a prayer session. And Amelia, she didn't say anything for days. Until one night I came back from another outing, holding takeout from an expensive restaurant. She sat on the floor in the dark, phone in hand, watching Sheila's photo on Instagram. "She had dreams," she whispered. "She wanted to be a nurse." "Sonia, please. I beg you, don't end up on a flyer." I shrugged. "But I'm careful. All these men. I vet them. I know who I follow." She just stared at me and cried. My birthday was coming up, and I already knew I didn't want anything normal, so I called one of the men, Chief Paul. He was older, richer, and married, but generous. He flew me and 2 of my friends to a resort. 3 days, 2 nights. all expenses paid. We wore matching robes, posed by the pool, posted on Snapchat. We ate buffet, slept in AC, took pictures in front of his Range Rover like it was ours. When we returned to campus, Amelia was outside again, this time cooking on a charcoal stove. I came down from the car and waved like a queen. "How was class, Amelia?" I asked. She didn't look up, just stirred the pot and said, "The thing about fast life is, it gets you hungry for what can kill you." It finally happened one Saturday morning. I had just returned from a spa date. My nails were fresh, my body smelled of Dior, and my phone was buzzing with alerts. Amelia was standing at the door, arms crossed. "Who is Mr. Deji? How do you know his name?" "He texted my number. He said he saw your picture with me. He asked if you were truly that innocent." I paused. "Wait, why would he text you?" "That's what I'm asking. What are you into?" We fought. Voices raised. Words said. I told her she was bitter. She told me I was lost. I slammed the door and said, "You're not my mother." She sat on the bed and whispered, "I wish I was. Maybe then you would have listened." The next day, I went missing for 48 hours. Not kidnapped, I just didn't come back. No calls, no updates. I was with a man, one of the new ones. When I returned, Amelia was on the floor in the room, eyes swollen, knees bruised, lips trembling. "I went to the police, Sonia. I thought you were dead." That's when I saw it. The fear in her eyes. The fear that had been building for months. And that's when I knew I had pushed her too far. After the 48-hour scare, Amelia changed. She didn't shout anymore. She didn't cry. She didn't even warn me again. She just became quiet. The kind of quiet that made the room feel colder when she entered. She still cooked, still washed her own clothes, still left her small portion of food on the table for me when she went out. But she wasn't there anymore. Not emotionally, not mentally. She had disappeared into some dark corner of her mind. And that silence scared me more than her warnings ever did. But I brushed it off. There was a new guy in my DM anyway. It started like all the others. A simple DM. "Hey, gorgeous. I've been watching your page for a while. You look like someone who deserves better." His name was Richard. Profile clean, not too flashy, just expensive enough. Pictures of him in suits, around high-rise buildings, with captions like, "Deals closed, focus stays." He didn't rush me, just consistent, cool, and intentional. After a few days, he asked to meet. "No pressure," he said. "If you feel any weird vibe, you can leave immediately." That made me trust him. He sent his driver, told me the location, sent airtime and extra cash for my nails. I told Amelia I was going for a group presentation. She just nodded, didn't look up. When I got into the car, the driver didn't say much. Polite, uniformed, professional. He handed me a bottle of water and turned on cool music. We drove far, past areas I didn't recognize. I asked him, "Oga, this place no too far." He smiled. "Na where Oga day stay na, no worry, ego worth am." And true to his word. Minimalist, quiet, dangerously expensive looking. The front door opened by itself and out walked Richard. Perfect, tall, clean, navy blue kaftan, white sneakers, a leather watch that looked heavier than my life savings. He smiled. "Welcome, Sonia. I've been expecting you." He didn't act like other men. No touching, no leering. He poured wine, asked about school, sat across the room from me like a gentleman. The sitting room was cold, very cold, but spotless. Black rug, white walls, a huge painting of a tree with no leaves. There were no pictures, no TV, just silence. After some light talk, he stood up and said, "Let me freshen up quickly. Feel free to look around. Make yourself comfortable." He smiled again, calm, too calm, then disappeared through the hallway. At first, I just sat there, sipped the wine, looked around, took a selfie. Then, curiosity started biting me. I stood up, walked slowly toward the hallway, opened a random door, 9. It was a study. Bookshelves, a desk, and on the table, 3 framed pictures of young girls. They weren't smiling. All of them looked scared. I blinked. Was it just my mind? I stepped closer. The middle frame had a tiny smudge, like dried blood near the edge. I dropped it, backed out of the room, then laughed at myself. Sonia, relax. Maybe they're just art. Still, my chest was getting tight. I walked into the kitchen next, pristine. Marble counters, silver sink, 2 stoves, an island in the middle, and a freezer. It wasn't like other freezers. It was big, industrial, like the kind you see in restaurants or cold rooms. There was a strange light blinking on the front. Red, pause, red, pause, like it was breathing. I stepped closer, put my hand on the handle, pulled. At first I didn't see anything. Then I leaned in, and my knees buckled. A girl, inside the freezer. Her skin was pale, her eyes halfway open, her lips stuffed with money, lots of it, wet dollar bills frozen to her teeth. Her arms were stiff, her hair damp, her dress soaked, and under her head, a small white cloth with red stains. I screamed. The wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered. I turned, ran straight back into the living room and grabbed my bag. The front door? Locked. I tried to open the windows. Bolted. I tried the back door. Locked. No sound. Not even the AC anymore. I opened the hallway door to find Richard, but the hallway was dark now. The light was gone. Only shadows. I began to cry. I stumbled into one of the bedrooms looking for an escape. Big bed, neatly made, a wooden wardrobe in the corner. I ran to hide, opened the wardrobe, and froze. Another girl, sitting still, her mouth full of money, eyes closed, hands stiff. This one wasn't in the freezer. She was right here, inside the house. Alive? Dead? I didn't know. She didn't move, but I did. I slammed the wardrobe, fell to the floor, crawled to my bag and tried to turn on my phone. I dialed Amelia's number anyway, just muscle memory. To my shock, it rang. Once, twice, then stopped. No pickup, no message. I kept trying, over and over. "Please, Amelia, please," I whispered into the dead air. My tears were falling like fire. I was shaking. I looked around the room, still no sign of Richard, no sign of life, just fear. I was still on the bedroom floor, curled up with my dead phone pressed to my ear when I heard it. A sound. Far off. Faint. Not footsteps. Heavier. Like a chair dragging across tiles. Slowly. Deliberately. I froze. The room went colder. I pulled my knees to my chest and pressed myself against the wardrobe like I could disappear into the wood. The sound came again. This time, closer. Then, silence. I held my breath. I swear even the air around me paused, like the house itself was watching me. I stared at the bedroom door. It was closed, but not locked. And as I stared, the handle twitched. Not turned, just twitched. Once. Twice. Then slowly, very slowly, it began to turn. I rushed to my feet, backed away, looked around for anything to defend myself. Nothing. My purse had fallen under the bed. The room was too big, the corners too far. Then the door swung open, and I gasped. He stood there. But this time, not in his clean navy blue caftan. He wore a long white wrapper tied at the waist. His upper body was bare. There were red markings on his chest, drawn with what looked like lipstick or chalk. His eyes were cold, emotionless. Behind him, another man walked in, older, short, with a white cloth tied around his waist too. His face was painted, and in his hand, he held a small wooden bowl. He began to hum. I staggered backward. Richard stepped into the room and said calmly, "You shouldn't have opened the freezer." The second man, the one with the bowl, pulled out a folded paper from his wrapper. He unfolded it slowly, started reading in a low tone. Eyes, ears, womb, tongue, heart. Each word fell like a blade. I shook my head violently. "Please, please, I didn't see anything, I didn't take anything, I'll forget everything, please." Richard raised his hand. "It's not personal." I collapsed to my knees. Please, I'll do anything, I swear, please don't kill me. He walked closer, knelt beside me, brushed my hair away from my face like a lover, then whispered, "Shh, it'll be quick." The man with the painted face knelt too, placed the bowl in front of me. It was filled with what looked like red water. He dipped his finger inside and drew a line across my forehead. I screamed, "Please, please! Why me? I didn't do anything!" Richard stood. "She's ready." The man reached into a small pouch at his waist and brought out a blade. Not a knife. A small, curved, sharp blade that looked like it was meant for something sacred. My bladder nearly gave way. I tried to crawl away, but Richard pressed his hand on my shoulder and pushed me back to the floor. The man began to chant. My voice broke. Tears were choking me. I looked up. Richard and the older man were now both standing in the kitchen, staring blankly. Then the older man said, "It is time." They didn't touch me. They didn't drag me. They didn't even threaten me again. Richard simply looked me in the eye and said, "You have 30 minutes to prepare." Then he and the man turned and walked out of the kitchen like it was just another evening. I sat frozen on the floor. No door slammed, no footstep echoed. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. And that was the moment I knew they were serious. I stayed on the kitchen floor for what felt like hours. I tried to move, but my knees wouldn't obey. I tried to scream, but my throat was dry. Then the tears came, hot, sharp, endless. I cried like a child, cried like someone who had walked herself into her own grave with her eyes wide open. I looked around the kitchen, the spotless counter, the polished floor, the freezer humming like a whisper, and then I whispered, "I don't want to die." It wasn't just fear, it was regret. Not just for being in that house, but for every single time I had ignored my sister. As the silence stretched around me, Amelia's voice started coming back, not in hallucinations, but in memory. "One day, someone will call you, and you won't come back. Sonia, you're playing with fire." Sheila said the same thing before she disappeared. Each line echoed like a judge reading a sentence. I remembered her eyes the last time I lied to her, how they weren't angry, just broken. I pressed my palms to my chest and sobbed. "Amelia, I should have listened. Please forgive me. Please, God, forgive me. Give me one more chance." I crawled from the kitchen to the living room, dragging myself with my elbows. Every breath hurt. I knelt on the tile, arms raised to the empty ceiling. "God, if you get me out of this, I swear I will never follow a man again. I will never lie to Amelia again. I will never chase money again. I will start over. I will serve you. I will change." The room was still cold. But something inside me began to burn. Not fire, just desperation. A hunger to be forgiven, to be free, to start over. I heard them before I saw them. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, heavy. 2 sets, then 3, then 4. My breathing stopped. I turned toward the hallway, and my heart nearly stopped. Amelia was walking in, but she wasn't smiling. Her eyes were blank, her face pale, her hands folded in front of her like she had accepted something horrible. Behind her, Richard, and the older man with the chalked face. All 3 of them walked in together. I jumped to my feet, ran toward her, grabbed her by the waist like a drowning child. "Please don't let them use me, please! You're all I have! Please beg them! I don't want to die, Amelia, please! I'm sorry, I'm so sorry!" She didn't respond. She stood stiff, didn't hug me, didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked ahead, not at me. I collapsed to my knees, holding her legs, begging, "Please, I'll change. I'll never disobey you again. I'll throw away all their numbers. Just don't let them do it. I don't want to end up like that girl." I pointed toward the kitchen. Amelia looked down slowly. Her lip trembled slightly, just for a second. Then she stepped back. Richard stepped forward. "You've had your moment. Now we proceed." They didn't touch me. They just began arranging things in the living room. A white cloth appeared on the center of the floor. No one saw where it came from. A candle was lit. The older man sprinkled what looked like ash in a circle. Amelia stood still in the corner, like a witness. Mr. Moses motioned to me. Sit in the middle. I shook my head violently. He raised his hand. Amelia, I ran to Amelia again, grabbed her arms. Please talk to them. Please say something. You're my sister. You said you'd always protect me. Amelia finally turned to me. Her eyes were glassy, and she whispered, Sonia, you should have listened. It broke me. Completely. I collapsed, not from pain, but from the truth. I brought myself here. I followed him. I walked into the house. I opened the freezer. I saw the signs. I ignored them. Not only I quickly to it is, I had no one to blame but myself, even though as the cases afters we saw the sign. I saw him that then framus equiply. The older man pulled out the blade again, walked toward me slowly. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just knelt, closed my eyes, and whispered one last line. If I get out of this alive, I swear, I'll never walk this road again. The blade hovered inches from my forehead. I had already given up. My eyes were shut, my breath frozen. Then I heard a voice, soft, almost casual. All right, guys, that's enough. I opened my eyes slowly. Amelia was stepping forward, hand raised toward the man with the knife. He stopped, lowered the blade. I blinked. Once, twice. The man stepped back and gave a small bow. Richard chuckled and dropped the serious face he had worn like a mask all evening. Wow, you really believed it, didn't you? The room began to shift. Not literally, emotionally. Suddenly, they weren't threatening. They were smiling, soft, friendly, familiar. Even the native doctor removed the white cloth from his head and wiped his forehead. Makeup day sweat for this heato. Makeup? I backed away slowly. What's happening? What's going on? My voice was shaking. Richard stepped closer. Sonia, it was a prank, a setup. Amelia planned it to teach you a lesson. I turned to my sister. She was walking toward me slowly, tears in her eyes, but also relief. I had to, Sonia, she said. I didn't know what else to do. You weren't listening. Every time I begged you to stop, you only went deeper. I stared at her, but I wasn't seeing her. My mind was spinning. No, I whispered. No, 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 no. You think this is funny? You think this is a joke? I screamed at all of them, then pointed toward the kitchen. What about her? The girl in the freezer. Her lips were blue. She wasn't breathing. Silence. Then, footsteps. From the hallway, she walked out. Hair wet. Face clean. No makeup. No stiffness. The girl I had seen in the freezer, smiling, holding a small bottle of water. It's okay, I'm fine. It was makeup and cold air. The freezer doesn't even work. She opened the freezer behind her. It was empty. No sound. No cold. Just a hollow space. Part of the plan, she added. I stumbled backward until I hit the sofa. No. What about the one in the wardrobe? I saw her blink. I saw her move. Then, she appeared too. Walking out of one of the rooms, now wearing jeans and a t-shirt. It was cramped inside that wardrobe, she joked, stretching. But I held my breath like you said, Amelia. Moby looked around the room. Everyone was now laughing softly, talking, relaxed. My whole body felt like it was burning from the inside. I ran to the front door, twisted the handle. It opened. I checked the windows, unlocked. The back door, open too. Everything was controlled, Amelia said behind me. We made sure you couldn't leave until the moment was right. All of it. The darkness, the silence, the girls, the blade. It was all staged. Amelia came closer, tried to hold me. I flinched. Don't touch me, I whispered. Sonia, don't touch me. I collapsed to the floor and began to cry again. But this time, the tears were different. Not of fear, of shame. Deep, cutting shame. Amelia knelt beside me but didn't try to hug me. She just said, You could have died, Sonia. If not today, another day. If not with Richard, then with another man. We see the stories every day. Girls that don't come back. Girls that end up in wells. Girls that disappear in hotels, and I'm tired of wondering if you'll be next. So I decided, better you hate me for scaring you, than I bury you crying over what I didn't do. Everyone else stood quietly. The air had changed. No more acting, no more tricks, just the raw truth sitting in the room like a fourth person. Richard stepped forward, now smiling gently. I'm not rich. I sell gadgets in town. Your sister begged me to act the part. Chris, the native doctor, removed the white cloth entirely. Makeup, costume, all of it, nothing real. The wardrobe girl came forward. I'm Juliet, 200 level, theater arts. The freezer girl raised her hand. Sandra, same class. I sat there, surrounded by strangers who had acted their roles to perfection. And in the middle of them, my sister. Still silent, still waiting. Even though it was over, even though they had removed the makeup, even though the lights were on and the doors were open, I was still shaking. My eyes kept darting around the room. I still felt like someone was watching me. Still felt like I could hear the hum of that freezer. Still expected the wardrobe to creak open. Amelia stepped closer again. I backed away. Don't touch me, I whispered again. I'm still scared. She nodded. Her eyes watered. I know. It's okay. We sat in silence for a while. Nobody moved. The earlier laughter was gone. The playful teasing faded. It was just me, in the middle of a circle of people who had dragged me through the darkest hours of my life and loved me enough to do it. I leaned back against the cold wall and let the tears fall. This time, nobody interrupted. I cried hard, not loud, just the kind of crying that pulls from your ribs, that shakes your chest, that empties the fear and fills it with truth. My body was tired, but my heart was tireder. Amelia walked to me, very slowly. She didn't say a word. She didn't beg. She just knelt beside me and opened her arms, like she used to when I had nightmares as a child. And I broke again. I crawled into her arms and buried my face in her shoulder. I didn't talk. I just held on. She stroked my hair gently and whispered, I love you, Sonia. I've always loved you, but I was losing you, and I didn't know how else to save you. We sat like that for minutes that felt like healing, her heart against mine, her breath calming my storm. And for the first time in months, I felt safe. Eventually, the others gathered around. One by one, they offered words. No lectures, just real talk. Richard, who now introduced himself as G-Day, said, You're not alone. Many girls are walking the same path, some out of greed, some out of survival, but not all of them get a warning. Chris, the ritualist, added, Social media is fast, but real life is fragile. One wrong ride, one wrong door. That's all it takes. Sandra, the freezer girl, said, When we first acted this, I thought it was too extreme. But when I saw your face, I knew it was necessary. I just nodded, still crying, but calmer, more aware, more awake. We left the house in silence. No drama, no noise. G-Day gave us a ride back to campus. Amelia sat beside me in the back seat. I didn't look at her much. I couldn't. Not because I was angry, but because I was ashamed. I watched the trees pass, the sky change colors. And in that silence, I said the only thing that mattered. Thank you for not giving up on me. She held my hand. Thank you for finally waking up. I deleted all their numbers. Every single man. I sold the phone Chief Paul gave me. I packed the wigs, the perfumes, the flashy shoes, and gave them to hostile girls who admired that life. Not because I was trying to punish myself, but because I didn't want to look like the girl I used to be. I wanted to become someone my sister could look at and say, That's my girl, and mean it. It's been 2 months now. I haven't followed a single man, haven't asked for transport money, Haven't worn my red-fitted gown again. I started doing makeup for other girls. 3 things euro per face. Amelia helped me register the business. We called it Saved Faces. I now walk with my head up, but not because I'm proud, because I'm grateful, because I'm alive, because I could have ended up like Sheila, or worse, never been found at all. If you're watching this now, let me tell you something that I wish someone had screamed at me earlier. Soft life without sense is suicide. Not every man who smiles at you means you well. Not every ride in a tinted SUV is your destiny helper. Not every lifestyle you envy is worth the cost. If you have someone who loves you enough to warn you, listen. It might feel like stress today, but it might be the only reason you're not buried tomorrow. This is the kind of story you don't just watch and move on. It's the kind you share, because someone close to you might be heading straight into their own freezer trap, and they don't even know it. If this story shook you, drop a comment in the comments. If you're grateful for someone who never gave up on you, type thank you below. And if you've been walking on that edge like I was, and this is your warning, please, turn back now. You might not get another chance. Thank you for watching another unforgettable story from African Tales by Imade, where we don't just entertain, we open eyes. Subscribe, share, and stay safe.